Hey everyone, welcome to my video about headshots and resumes. So today in this video, what I'm going to show you is how to get these two things and put them together. As you know, a piece of paper is 8.5 by 11 and a headshot is going to be printed off in an 8 by 10. So there will be a little bit of room you have to do here in order to attach your resume to your headshot. You're going to need a stapler and a pair of scissors. You want to make sure that you only use a stapler. You don't want to glue your headshot and resume together. You don't want to print the resume on the back of the headshot. Eventually, that could be a very costly thing if you're trying to update your resume and you have newer things you want to put on there. It does become kind of costly to try to replace your headshot. So that way, when your headshot's here, you can always just take it apart if needed and put the new resume on there if you have something with new information. And they also don't like it to be glued. Sometimes the industry people like to look at both sides, take it apart, set it next to each other, and that way they can look at the things next to each other. So that's just industry standard. You'll notice that there's staples in all four corners. And that is how it gets put together. So you will just staple them together. The tricky part is when you're making your resume, you have to make sure it does not take up the whole paper. So you have to leave your margins on the side here. That way when you line your headshot and resume together, you will know that once you go to cut the extra, it won't get cut off. So you can kind of tell when you're looking at that piece of paper. I can tell on my side as well that there's no wording right here. So I will be good to staple, and then I will trim around the outside. Make sure that when you're looking at it, it's your headshot, and you flip it over right here, and it's your resume. You don't want them to look at the headshot and then have to like flip and do all of that. It's just very simple, just back and forth. So you want to make sure that the name and title are on the top, just like the top of the headshot here. Another thing about your resume, so when you look at your resume here, you're going to put your name in very big bold on the top with phone number and email address. You want to make sure all of these are very clear, very easy to read. Do not worry about a fancy font. Don't make this, an art project. Make it very clear. You do not want people having to second guess what a letter is or try to figure out the fancy cursive font that you picked out. Make sure it's very, very clear. Again, also with the phone number, make sure it's a phone number that you will answer. You don't want to put a random phone number down that maybe someone doesn't check quite as often or anything. Just make sure that phone number that you put down there is easily accessible to the student. Of course, if they're a minor, you can go ahead and put your phone number. Sometimes the older teenagers can put their phone number as long as they're responsible to answer those phone calls. With your email address, again, if you have a younger student, you can use your own email. We do just suggest that you just make them one that has their name in it. Sometimes it's just a little bit simpler. Or if your email already has like your last name in it and just like a letter, you can use that. But please make sure that your email is, again, something that's pretty obvious. Not a lot of guesswork, not spelled all wonky. The clearer it is, the better. For example, her email address is simply Zoe Jarrett, and then just a couple of her numbers for her birthday. So you want to make it very, very simple, because I know sometimes, names will be taken. You may have to add a little bit. Same thing with your Sierra. Sierra just has her name, Sierra.Kelly, with the email address there. So you just want to make sure that it's very clear of what it says. Another thing you can put on there is their height and vocal range. There's no need to put your hair color or your eye color. When they're looking at the headshot, they can see all of that. So you can go ahead and just nix that. Don't worry about it. But you can put your height and you can put your vocal type. If you don't know your vocal type, make sure to get the voice teacher and they can let you know. Another thing is that you want to make sure of is that you don't put your age. I know sometimes people might want to put their age to let them know how old they are, but you kind of want the casting directors to see what that is by themselves. So they might look at your student who's 13 and think, they're probably like 9 or 10, but they act a little older. So I could hire them to play a 9 and 10-year-old, but they're acting mature like a 13 or 14-year-old, and that's a little bit better. You don't want to age yourself. If they ask you during the interview, you're welcome to be honest, but just let them make assumptions on their own. Another thing for your resume is going to be the very first thing, which is your theater credits. Okay, so these theater credits do not need to be in chronological order. They do not need to be really in any certain order. The biggest thing you probably want to do is put your most important things at the top and then go down from there. There are a few students that don't have very many credits, and that's totally fine. Put the things you're most proud of at the top, and you just put the rest right there. If you're a student who has lots and lots and lots of credits that could go from here to like here, you got to start cutting some stuff. So, just look at some of the roles and some of the shows and, think about, is that something that they may have heard of before? Is it a well-known thing? If it's a little more unknown and you have the wiggle room to cut some stuff, that's always a good thing to make sure you do that. So it's going to go the show title of that show. The part that they played will be in the middle, and where they did the show over here. Sometimes you can add the theater that they did it at, including the director that directed it, especially if they're a big name. If they're not as big of a name, usually you can just put the company. If you worked with someone who's a little bit more connected, you can definitely put their name as director. What you want to do is make a table for this information. So if you make a table, it'll line up really nice. So I have a 3-column table, and on here, I put the first column, second, then I go in there and I take out all of the lines. So if you go to the side thing where you can look through and look at the grid, you want to take out all the lines. You don't want it to look like a table, but it makes it really nice that it all lines up in that table format. It's very easy to like delete things and add things when it's in a table format, and it just always makes it look nice. Next is film. So if you've done anything on film, anything. If you were on a local news station and you were talking on there, if you've ever done any music videos, extra work, anytime that there was more of like an actual camera versus like a stage show, you can go ahead and put that on there. Again, if you have a bunch of credits, you want to start kind of cutting that down. Just do the few important ones that you have. Next would be education and training. So again, this could be something that could be pretty lengthy. This could be something that's a little shorter, and that's totally fine. You can make like more of a table with 2 columns. And in this, for example, you could put Empire Dance and Performing Arts Studio. You can put how many years you took there. And then in the other column of your table, you can put what classes were taken there. For example, if you just started, you could put acting, and then you could put a little dash and put Alex Rasmussen. You can put musical theater - Lauren French Barnett, advanced musical theater dance, or any kind of dance you've been taking. You could put that with Kathleen Miller or whoever you've taken dance from before. So that is something to put on there as well. If anyone has taken with Miss Kim or had private voice lessons, you would put the name of that studio, who taught you the lessons, you can put for how many years, and so on and so forth. For example, Zoe here has the Phoenix Tap Festival that she went to and the teachers she worked with, some of the things that she did over the summer with SUTE and Paper Mill Playhouse, and who those people were. The more people you work with, you definitely want to get on your resume, because the theater community is very tiny. So it's very good to go ahead and put names on there, because more than likely, someone you might encounter may have worked with one of those people, and that's always helpful when you have connections. One of the really big things that anyone can do, whether your resume is like a little bit smaller right now or if it's really full out, is your special skills. There is really no rules for special skills. You just want to make sure that you put things that really make you individual, really things that make you stand out. That way, you could end up spending longer time in an audition room talking about those things. They have something to talk about with you in the interviews, anything you can think of. Some examples are, different types of dance that you enjoy. You could put that down. Can you do harmony? Do you write anything? Have you worked with kids before? Do you do improv, dialects, any sort of other sports, soccer, volleyball? Can you jump rope? Can you roller skate? Can you skateboard? Do you have a driver's license? Do you have a passport? All these things you can put down on special skills and more. So again, my biggest piece of advice is make sure all of that stuff up top is very noticeable. You can also put a picture in the corner. You want to make sure that if you put a picture on your resume, it counters the headshot that you have. Example, Sierra's headshot here is a little more on the serious side. And then her picture she decided to put on her resume has a lot more of a smile to it. So it's nice to sort of like see that balance. Normally, Zoe in her corner would have a tap picture. So you can do something like that too, where you incorporate the dance part of things as well. But yeah, I hope this video was helpful getting your headshot and resume together. because once we pick out those headshots, we will be giving them to you and printing them off, and you will need to get your resume printed on your own and attach it. Again, when you attach it, you are going to have the hangover on this. You'll attach it in the staples here and staples here, and you will have to take your scissors and trim around the headshot. So that is something that you guys will have to do, and we will have about a week or two before showcase to have everyone turn theirs in. And as we go along too, you can bring me your resume examples. We can edit them for you, take a look, let you know about anything else you can change or make better. Thank you so much. We're excited for this process.